David Savage, a.k.a. Diz, and this is The Force Always. Okay, so welcome to the show. This is The Force Always. Let's get on with the Star Wars news. Just to let you know, later on in the show, in the interview section, one of the news-making events this week was Collider, the YouTube channel, which I don't like discussing about, other YouTube channels, but this one in particular had a big Star Wars show that really sort of set the standards on YouTube a lot. And but more about that later on in the show. There's an interview section, but just to let you know, Collider has now given way to 4 of their big shows. One of them includes a Star Wars show on YouTube, a weekly show about sort of news and whatever it is that they sort of say to everyone. So check them out if you want, because they're going to need sort of support as much as they can right now. To more news, Clone Wars is coming to Disney Plus this February, mid-February. I can't remember the exact date. It's escaped me right now, but it's mid-February, Disney Plus, Season 7, which is technically the final season again for Clone Wars. It's an animated series for Star Wars. It's set between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, which is, from memory, again, episode 2 and episode 3. I enjoyed it. It's definitely cringe-worthy, but it's still enjoyable. For a hardcore Star Wars fan, I highly recommend it for any story points and stuff like that, sort of things to learn. It is still good, but it is cringeworthy. It's one of those unusual shows that I think is really good, but is really cringeworthy. For me, for example, a show that I love is Seinfeld. Nothing to do with Star Wars, but that it's not cringeworthy. That's just funny. Hardcore, great. But Clone Wars was good, but it was just, if you're a hardcore Star Wars fan, you'll love it. But anyway, that's coming mid-February, Disney Plus. Subscribe to them if you want to check that one out, or resubscribe if you did unsubscribe from them. That's Disney Plus, because it will be coming mid-February 2/20. That's 2020 actually, not 2/20. Anyway, so that's some more news. So, and more news later on in the show. Again, another piece of great information. I'm going to give you my most anticipated films for 2020. So stick it out to the review section of my video. Anyway, that's the news for this time around. Let's get into the views. Views is not about one who gets YouTube likes, dislikes, or viewage, or it's not about predictions. It's just my story ideas of what I think Star Wars should come up with, but coming from me. This is just my ideas. It could be a poster, it could be a song, it could be the Star Wars saga, the standalone films, but, obviously we've got The Rise of Skywalker at the moment, episode 9, which I have seen now to this point 8 times. Call me crazy, call me whatever you like. I don't love it like it's the best thing in the world. I do enjoy the Star Wars universe. That's why I keep going back. I think it's a good film. And amazingly enough, when you watch it that many times, you sort of start to see the seamlessness of the beats of the film, which seem to be rushed in the beginning, and it is sort of still, but the beats sort of work a bit better, and the connectivity to the other films, which is 7 and 8, that's episode 7 and 8, is a bit more seeable and hearable if you sort of stay tuned to that. But anyway, my story idea is, and this is a spoiler, if you've not seen The Rise of Skywalker, a spoiler is coming up, so please, you have been warned. So at the end, Rey gets her life back, technically, from Ben. Ben passes his life, or brings life to her, at the end of The Rise of Skywalker episode 9 by holding her stomach area and sort of passing a life force of some sort. I think it would be a great thing if they're going to do episode 10 and 11 and 12, or episode 10 or whatever they're going to do. Personally, this would work as a saga film, not as a standalone film. I think it would just spoil the whole 10, 11 and 12. But I think in episode 10, if they ever do it, you know, obviously Ray is now living, and that life force that Ben gave could include a possible life force that's within Ray, like having a child, which will set off, you know, the ups and downs, lefts and rights, once again, of the good versus bad. But that would be a very good starting point and a good idea of a journey of one's life, which is Ray's son or Ray's daughter or twins, whatever you want to have. That would be a really good story idea. That's my story idea for now. That's my views, which I have every week. Anyway, let's get into the reviews. Reviews is going to be as quick as I can because I don't want to ramble on too much. But it's my predictions for 2020, which is my films that I'm looking forward to. Even though this is not Star Wars related, it sort of is sometimes when Star Wars is in that particular year. But this year we're going to get no particular films. We will get Mandalorian later on in the year. We're going to have Clone Wars, as I said earlier in the show, mid-February. But there's no real Star Wars films coming out as yet. There's just announcements we're waiting for. But I think the most anticipated two films I'm looking forward to, I'll tell you number 2, then number 1. The second most anticipated, now this is a bit cringeworthy, but I'm actually looking forward to it. It actually looks like a good idea in its look. They just need to sort of have it to be really a bit of a tighter story than the last. And I'm talking about Ghostbusters, technically 2. Ghostbusters 2. I've forgotten the actual subtitle to their name, but it looks really good. It looks like a really good idea. It's a bit cringeworthy for me to say Ghostbusters because it's so 80s and so bloody old school. I'm sick of thinking of the past or reinvented stuff. I like original stories, but I just think Ghostbusters 2, of the films that I've seen, looks good. And that's my second most anticipated. First most anticipated film is, from the velocity of the trailers we've got so far, definitely not the main actor in this film, but he's still someone that I think is good. A lot of people hate or love this person. I'm in between. I think he's good. I think he's got a great longevity in the films. But the film I'm looking most forward to is, can you believe this? You already another cringeworthy film, but I think it looks good, is Top Gun Maverick. That's the most anticipated film for this year. Now these two, Ghostbusters 2, whatever the subtitle name is, and Top Gun Maverick, it's cringeworthy, it's very 80s. It's not because of that, it's just they look both good. The trailers have set it off for me. I thought they look both really good and they have potential. Now the two films that are wild cards, that I usually sort of say, wild cards, I reckon, I'm not a James Bond fan, but the new film looks good. No Time to Die. That actually looks really good. Now my other wild card, which is actually almost got into my two most anticipated, but it's because it's a comedy and I like a bit more of a, you know, a serious story. But still, this could set it off, and it, you know, it's got the makings to be a phenomenon, but it's also got the makings to be an absolute flop. But I think the second wild card that I have that could be a big film is Coming to America 2. For me, it's Samuel Jackson's first acting role was in the original film. He's actually the guy that tries to rob the McDowell's, or, you know, like McDonald's store that was in the actual film, which is so funny. I tell you, it's just classic. But it also had like a glimpse of hip hop in that film, which, you know, back then in the 80s, as I'm a hip hop sort of guy, you know, was really on my own back then, especially in Australia. It was very hard to sort of get anything that was connected to hip hop, and it had a little sort of funny sort of moment in there. But I love Eddie Murphy. He's generally pretty good. He's probably got a bit high and mighty at times, but that is a wild card. So that's my reviews. The two wild cards is Coming to America 2 and No Time to Die. Second most anticipated is Ghostbusters 2, and the most anticipated is Top Gun Maverick. All good looking films. Anyway, that's my reviews for this time around. And there's no rating yet, as obviously we've not seen it yet. But anyway, let's get into interviews. The first question I have is, after seeing Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, after 8 times, what do I think? Well, I'll tell you what I think. I still think it's an 8 out of 10. I'm still absolutely baffled how people hate or dislike this film. I don't think it gets anywhere, below good. But, everyone has their own opinion. I understand. I would have created the film differently, and I think we all do too. But I think the problem with Star Wars, ever since 1977, it's been the type of film that is taught the audience too early that you can make your own film. Like, it really showed off it was models, it showed off it was, people started playing with their toys in 1977, making their own little movies. I remember as a kid doing this. I remember on a piece of paper, I used to draw sort of outlines to story ideas as a kid, just having fun. So I just think what's happened with Star Wars, generally, the reason why there's a lot of badness there, besides YouTubers always giving their opinion of what should come next, which I think has contributed to the possible research, that's in my opinion. And they're not all of them to blame. I think there's a bit there out there to blame. It's not YouTube, it's YouTubers. But I think it's also that we all have our own idea how the film should be, and if it doesn't come near or close to that, we just dismiss it. That's what I think is happening. I don't know. It's just my thoughts. Anyway, so to answer my question, what do I think of Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker? After 8 sessions seeing it, it's still 8 out of 10. I still think it's very good. It's great. And you actually start to see the connectivity to the other films, 7 and 8, through story ideas. And you also get to see how they did make it as seamless as possible. But you can sort of see that it was all of a sudden, let's put the Emperor in there. But at the same time, it still works, in my opinion. But anyway, second question, the big one. What do I think of this whole Collider thing that happened in last week? Collider is a massive YouTube channel that's got various type of shows for movies, for TV, for Star Wars, for comic books. It's been around for a long time. It started with AMC Movie Talk, then it went into Collider. I saw the transition. It was one of the inspirational things that got me going. I usually am a person that just gets my own thing going, but this time around in my life, I saw this and I just did it automatically. I didn't think, this is what I'd love to do. I just started, went at it, and just working hard ever since. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I still do this, weekly, every so. It started not so weekly in the start, but I just pushed hard this show. But anyway, what do I think the blame game is, and the dislike of what's happened is just getting out of control. I think, Mark Fernandez is, in my opinion, a very good, fluffy type of person. Fluffy meaning he's a nice, lovable character. I think he's got a good business mind from what I can tell, but I just think his creativity was not always there. But he's still good. He's passionate. I like everything about him. And he's just, that's his style of person, but he's just not a creator. I think he's just more of a business person. He's an entrepreneur, as he keeps stating. But he did get rid of the best shows on Collider, but I think they were costing him a lot of money, so that's why I think that's the reason. If all those stars got replaced with other people, then it would have been almost like a sellout situation. I think, personally, I feel for him and the staff and the remainder of people there, and the ones that, had to move along. I think they're all great celebrities. I think they all got something to say. But here's my point about that whole channel. The channel started to be really organized, and it kept being more organized. It just started to ramble on too much. Even in the two shows that I liked the most, which was Movie Talk and Jedi Council, it just started to ramble on too much. It was just like free time and you get paid for that. It sort of like sounds like the greatest job in the world, and it is. But for the viewer, the listener, who has to use this in a section or moment of their time, it just rambles on way too much, and they repeat themselves way too much. They need to get more organized. For an example, a person who left there many years ago, John Campier, started a bit out roughly in his John Campier show, but then just really got his act together really quick and just was organized. Sort of gets the job done. Whatever show he's got or whatever, it gets the job done. There is a little bit of rambling on that show, but he does it well. And I think there's people on Collider who have been gone now and still there who ramble on, but they're still organised. It just needs to learn to be more tight with its time, not ramble on. I personally have never watched more than a couple of minutes, from what I can tell, remember, of Collider Live. That was the worst show that I could think of. That was just ramble on. It should have been Collider, ramble on. But anyway, that's my thoughts on the Collider sort of situation. Just from afar, from an outside point of view, from this channel that can't really speak much for the sake the amount of subscribers or viewers, but every single one of those subscribers, every single person who checks out this show or likes or whatever or dislikes, I pay attention to. It's the community. And as I've said in the last couple of weeks, from a couple of people that really have touched me greatly, again, Nigel, again, Kate, on my Twitter, who checks out the show. Thank you very much once again. It's, you're most admired by myself. These people and other people who contribute to whatever, the positivity is what keeps us all going as YouTubers and people who want to see YouTube. That's in my opinion. But anyway, so that's the show this week. Please subscribe to this channel, The Force Always, only on YouTube. And believe me, while the other ones have gone on hiatus, that's the Star Wars shows, I'm going to keep going, rocking on, as I keep saying. So subscribe, like, and share this video with others. Repeat it if you want. Send me a question via YouTube or Twitter or Instagram. Do what you like. But until next time, or next week, technically, keep rocking.